Hi everyone, welcome to my stream. Today I have some plans to talk about SignalR, but mainly I want to do this stream because I need to try my equipment. I have a new computer now. I had some problems in this week when I had a talk at the Dev Days in Belgium, that my Mac was freezing all the time. It also restarted about 8 minutes before the talk to start. So I really want to try it out with my spare computer that I got from my office because I have some conferences tomorrow. It's Monkfest, and I also will speak at UpdateConf next week. So let's try this out. Do a short stream. We'll speak about SignalR. If you have read my book, you know that there are one chapter where we have channel R in it. And it's not channel R, SignalR. We build an app using SignalR. So today I will show you a bit about how you can use SignalR in your Xamarin app and how you can use the same SignalR hub in Azure using Blazor. So if you want to know more about that, buy my book at Amazon or directly from Pact. It's co-written with Johan Karlsson, my great colleague. So let's go and open Visual Studio instead. Or we can talk a little bit about how you can use architecture first. Use SignalR in Azure from an architecture view, because in Azure we have a SignalR service that makes it possible to do SignalR serverless. So the architecture scheme for that can look like this. We have the SignalR hub, that we can set up as serverless, and we can have different clients that are connecting to it. From the client, we will call an Azure function, and we will get some connection information that we will use to connect to the SignalR hub. But we will also use the Azure functions in this case to add messages to the queue. So for example, we can have a service bus listener that add things to the queue, into the SignalR queue, that will push it out to all clients. We can also have database trigger and other triggers, and we can have a function that we call from other services. What I like with having a function that we're calling is when we're adding messages, instead of directly adding messages to the queue. For example, if we have an administration web where we're sending out live updates, we can add some checks. For example, if content are okay, or if we have comments in the app here, for example, that you can comment on a live feed, or upload photos. For example, in the book, we're using Azure Cognitive Services to scan for adult content, so we don't send out porn pictures and things like that to the clients. So let's take a look how to build that. So if we go to the Azure portal, I can show you how to create a SignalR service. So we'll sign in here. Yes, we will stay signed in. Resource group. This account only has access to a few resource groups. We need to go here to make sure that we are creating the resource in the right group. So then we can search for SignalR service. Create. Show subscription, enter name, Daniel streaming on Twitch. That should be unique, I think. Yes, it was. Add a region, add a unit, and we have add a server mode. I use serverless. Then we can also take a look at the pricing tiers, because there are one free that are recommended only for dev and test. But for small apps, you can of course use it, but you can only have 20 connections, single unit. It's no SLA, but it's SSL. So we will go with the free one for this presentation. So now we have created a SignalR service, and we are ready to start working with it. So let's dive into my code. In this project, I have created all code into the same solution. So we have a functions project, we have a Xamarin Forms app, and we have a project with some models, and then we have a Blazor web application. So let's take a look at the functions first that we had deployed to Azure. So we have one function called getInfo that is called by the app and also by the web, and that makes it possible to get information about the SignalR hub. So we're using bindings here to inject a SignalR connection with a hub name live. You can set whatever name you want here, and here you have the variable, and we just return it. And the connection string we will have for the SignalR will be placed in Azure. So we can take a look about how you can get that. We can use this that is already created. So if you go here to keys, we can see the keys and the connection string to use. So let's get back here. Now we are able to get the connection information. We will get a token, and we'll also get the URL to the SignalR service. Then we have the add a message method. It's just a HTTP invoked Azure function, but we inject a SignalR hub and as an async collection like this, and then we can add messages to it. We just add async and add a SignalR message, and arguments will be the actual messages and also target, so we can specify what we want to listen on. In this case, I'm using the type of the messages so we can listen on, because the sample app I have built is app where you can get live updates, for example, for a sports game or things like that. So I have defined two different messages. We have a comments messages, so the updater, the person that writes updates, can add messages, but also so the users can comment on what happened in the game. And we have a base class that has timestamp, text, and type info. Then we also have a result messages with home goals and away goals. So if you go back to add messages, the target type is just the name of the actual class. So let's start to take a look at the web application. It's in this case, a Blazor WASM app. So it's a WebAssembly. I don't share that much code in this sample, but you can create a core project, so it will be easier to share code between the app and the web application, because in this case, both the web and the app code is very, very similar. Some of them I just copied over. So we can go here to the index page. Then we can see I added some UI components, input field for a home goal and one for away goal. We have a send button. We have an input field for message or comment, and we have a button. Then when on initialized async, I call the Azure function to get the connection information. I deserialize this to a class that I have defined called connection info. That is just URL and access token. With those information, I will be able to create an hub connection. So first we will create a hub connection builder. We will use with URL method, and we will pass the necessary information and set the access token like this. Then we will build a hub, and then we can also start to listen for messages. So because even if we are an updater on the web, we want to see the comments. So in this case, we are listening to the comments for there. So when we got a message, we turn it to a string because it's in JSON format. And then we can deserialize it to a comment message. Then we can insert it to the list, and then the UI will be updated. But before we can start to receive messages, we need to call the start async method. But when we are sending messages, this will be the the same for both comments and result messages. We will serialize them and we do a REST call to the HTTP invoked Azure functions, add messages like this. So this is how it will look on the website page. We can start a web page so you can see how it looks. Let's use Safari. So we'll take a few minutes, if just a few seconds to build it. So we can, for example, we can add a comment here, add it in English so you understand what I'm writing. And then it will show up in the live feed. If we also start the app, we will also be able to see it in the app. So let's start the app, start debugging. Then we have the iPhone simulator here. Try to get them side by side so you can see how fast it is to update. So we have the website, we have the app, we'll enter a name, Daniel, connect to live feed. Then I can update home goals here, to and send, and you will see that it's immediately updating. Then I can add here, it's great with a goal for the home team, send. And you can see that the comment will appear here as well. I can answer that. Yes, it is. So that's how you can use SignalR to get use in your application. So let's take a look at the app code. So this is a blank Xamarin Forms project and using my own MVVM library, tiny MVVM, but that's not relevant for what I'm showing in this stream. So you can take a look at my view models. I have a main view models that just is entering the name as you saw, and then we have the live view model where all logic is. So exactly at the web we have a hub connection, and we have a HTTP client, and we have some properties that we have bound the UI to. Home goal, away goal text. We have an observable collections with comments. That is this list with that is a collection view if we're looking at the UI. Then we have logic for sending comments that will just post content to the Azure function that adds the information onto the Azure SignalR hub that will update all connected clients. Then in the initialize method, this is tiny MVVM specific. If you have a tiny MVVM view model base, you can override initialize that will run when your binding context is set to the view. So then we will create the client. We will get information back. We would deserialize it exactly as on the web. So this code can be written so we can instead reuse it. We will build the hub connection. We will start to listen to it. To a different, we have the result message, and we have the comment messages. So by defining things like this, we will be able to listen. So we can take a look about how a message will look when we get one. So just open Safari again and add a 4 to the away goals. Then we can see that the message will come in a format like this. So the easiest way is to make it to JSON like this, and then we deserialize it to our defined message object. And then we can update the properties, and they will update the UI. Shoop. And the same with the comment messages, but we insert them into the observable collections with comments. I use insert instead of add here because I want to add them at the top of the collection view. You can just take a short look at the live view SAML as well. We have a collection view here. It's just bound to the comments. We have a data template for each row. We have bindings to home goal, away goals. We have bindings to the text, so we can send a comment, and to the button. It's pretty straightforward. But what I don't have handled here yet is that what happened with the connection if the user, for example, closes the app and reopen it. So in that case, we need to add code that closes the connection and starting it again. So we will add an override for this one. Close to debugger. Override on disappearing. This async. And this is also stuff that comes with tiny MVVM. So we can have hub dot stop sync, and that's because we don't want the page to be updating. Listen, in many cases, when we're navigating away from it, even if we close the app or we navigate another view. So I think it's a best practice to stop listening to messages. In this case, I don't store messages, but in a real case scenario, we'll probably add them to database so you can fetch them, so you can also get the history when you're starting listen to look at the live feed. So let's override on appearing as well. Async. Wait, like this. So, and here we can have if hub not null, and hub.state, because you can also look at the hub state. So if it's not connected and it's not connecting, yes, then we can hub.start sync to start to listen to messages again. This. We have also some other method here we can use. I had tried to use send async on the client side to update the messages to the SignalR queue, but I never got that working because I don't really know why. But those methods maybe are not supported for SignalR services, because you can host SignalR your own on your own server or on your own solution as well, if you don't want to have a serverless solution with SignalR. So easy is it to start working with the SignalR in your Xamarin or Blazor app or any .NET app. It will be the same library that you use. The one NuGet package I installed is this Microsoft Azure WebJobs .extension.SignalR service. So it's pretty easy to get started with SignalR. I also have a blog post about it, how you can use SignalR. If you want to read it. It's pretty old, but I think it's still relevant. So go to danielhindrickes.se. Then you can go here and search for Signal. Don't search for SignalR, but you can go to the tag cloud here and tap SignalR and you will get this article. Here you can see the first edition of our book, but there are a second edition that is more up to date that you can buy from Amazon or Pact, both as a printed version or as an ebook. So here you can read about everything I have talked about today. You can also see here that I, in the app.xaml.cs, stopped, I think, and also disposed the hub there. So that can be great to do that so that you don't have any memory leaks. Okay, thank you for listening to my short talk about SignalR. If you want to know more, you can watch my session tomorrow at Monkeyfest, or you can subscribe to my Twitch channel, and there will be more live streams. Or you can contact me on Twitter, LinkedIn, or you can read at my blog. Thank you very much for watching, and if you have any questions, I will be here for a couple of minutes. Thank you.